All right, I'm Andrew Thomas Hunt. That's my professional name. I'm a partner at Raven Banner Entertainment here in Toronto, and we release a bunch of movies from Turbo Kid, Autopsy of Jane Doe, Psycho Gorman, The Sadness, so we release a lot of movies here in Canada. I'm also a director. I've directed 3 features now. My first one was called Sweet Karma. Then I made another one called Spare Parts. And then I just finished one called The Fight Machine, which is based on a book that this man wrote under his name, Craig Davidson. And I'm also a producer, and I've produced a bunch of films, Psycho Gorman being one. We're going to be doing Steve Kostansky's next film. I can't say what it is, but we'll be going to camera with that in April. We're going to be hopefully doing Turbo Kid 2 next year. And then one of the other films that I produced was The Breach, which is based off of a script that this gentleman wrote.
Oh, nice segue. So, yeah, my name is Craig Davidson, and I write horror under the name of Nick Cutter. And my son's really pleased with that over there. Having known Andrew for a great long while, my friend Ian Weir and I ended up writing this script based on a book that I had written. And we worked it for a couple years, I guess, before we finally, and then some funding came in, and they were able to go up during the pandemic up to Perry Sound. Yeah, we shot it in Perry Sound, so we started getting the financing together. We attached Rodrigo Godino, founder of RUE MORGUE magazine, as our director for a second feature, and we got Alan Hocko on as our lead, and we had worked with Slash. A few years ago, we released his film Nothing Left to Fear here in Canada. And Rodrigo and Slash are friends, and we were trying to get another project off the ground with them, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So when we put this together, I said to Rod, hey, do you think Slash would want to executive produce this? And he reached out to Slash, and Slash loved the script. And not only did he executive produce it, but he picked up his guitar and played some music while he watched a cut. So anyways, so that's it in a nutshell. Probably have raised a lot of questions.
And you guys can raise your hand and ask. Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I was going to actually ask about next, is that because I think Slash has been trying to get into making horror movies for a long time. And it almost sort of surprises me that, like, why can't he? Like, why is it so hard? Because, he's pretty successful elsewhere. And I was going to ask about, what his kind of role was in this, and how much of this film did he touch and interact with you guys on?
Yeah, he's a big horror fan, and he grew up watching horror films from like being a young kid, and Mario Bava and Dario Argento, and the whole Hammer films, all those, and so he did executive produce Nothing Left to Fear a few years ago, and I actually just had a call with him yesterday, believe it or not, and in that call he mentioned that Nothing Left to Fear was a bit of a disaster in its production. There was a lot of issues with it, and so it kind of gave him cold feet, but at the same time, he still loves it. And so he got involved with this as an executive producer, and just, he loved the script. He digs Nick Cutter. He likes Raven Banner. He likes Rodrigo Godino. So it's just like a perfect kind of partnership. And we're actually now in development of about 3 or 4 other projects with him. And we haven't announced it yet, but we're starting a new label together with Slash and Rod from RUE MORGUE and Raven Banner, and you're kind of, I guess, hearing it here first, but I can't give you the name of it. But in the next couple months, we're going to release that publicly.
Wow, very exciting. Yeah. There you go. Rodrigo Godino and Slash are making movies. So yes. This is good.
Yeah.
So I did see it, the film, and of course, the two things that kind of stand out about it is it's sort of slightly touching on Lovecraft and also a bit of a body horror story, right? That's what it seems to stand out to me about it.
Amy LaFoy spotted it first.
Look like a local to you?
I don't know how you would tell. You ever seen anything like this, boss?
Yeah, I think you're those are two sort of touchstones of I was saying out in the lobby to Andrew, the Nick Cutter stuff tends to go down two different lines, or they meet often in the middle, which is, a mad scientist character, a kind of Promethean individual who starts out with probably somewhat noble ambitions, potentially even truly noble ambitions, and his or her obsessions are so all-consuming that that it ultimately becomes disastrous, right? And harnessing that to sort of you're right, to a Lovecraftian style. I have buddies of mine who really like playing with the sort of the Christian pantheon. People's innate, fear of the devil. I've never found that particularly frightening. Whereas I love like Lovecraft or Barker. Barker created his own kind of pantheon of creatures, of entities, sort of a thing. And while I've never been able to do that exactly, I do sort of like dealing with beings who just simply don't care about us. You know what I mean? There was actually, I watched just the other day, like, I don't know if anyone watched Guillermo del Toro's new Cabinet of Curiosities.
bring that up,
The
yeah.
Autopsy was great, and it's sort of on that level. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I felt like, this is kind of someone who is riffing close to Lovecraft, as so many of us do, but it's not quite Lovecraft, but you can sort of see those bones extruding through it.
And I think that part of the fear and the horror of it comes from the fact that this is so strange that it's actually indescribable, sort of thing, right? It's the kind of thing. It's not just that it's going to scare you; it's going to drive you insane, sort of thing, because your mind cannot grasp it.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. That's kind of one of the touchstones of Lovecraftian horror is that before it even destroys you physically, it's already, you might go willingly because it's already sort of done its main damage already by wrecking your brain.
Now, I should jump in here and say one of the reasons that none of you out there have seen the film yet is because it's still in the festival circuit. And so it's actually going to be playing the Blood in the Snow Film Festival in Toronto on November 26th, I want to say.
It's coming to Toronto, right?
So there you go. So that's our festival release here in Toronto, and then we'll probably give it a Q3 release sometime next year. So we're still negotiating with the U.S. distributor and all that stuff. So anyways,
Can we talk about the casting at all? These are mostly unknown actors, right?
Yeah, well, Alan Hocko, of course, is a fairly well-known Canadian actor who was in, oh my God, I just blanked out, the CBC series.
Republic of Doyle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As soon as I see his face, I'm like, you're a Canadian actor, but I can't name the show.
Yeah. And then we have Natalie Brown, who was in, and she was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she's filming right now. She was in The Strain. She was in Guillermo del Toro's most recent film, Nightmare Alley. Emily ALATALO, she's been in a bunch of horror films. She was in my film, Spare Parts. She was in this. She just did a movie called Sunset Superman with Michael Jai White. She literally just finished filming that, and she's filming another movie right now. So she's in that kind of arena of a lot of genre films. Kenneth Wilson, another great actor. He was just in VHS 94, which we also produced. So he was in that one for us as well. And then our other kind of piece of the puzzle was Wesley French, and then Alex Lifeson from Rush. We got him in there as for a cameo, which was a lot of fun. Actually, the coolest thing about it was that I got to go to his house, and I filmed him at his house. For
was that how that came together?
And I literally just shot it. I think I shot it on my iPhone, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because it was like, because we were seeing him on a screen in the movie. I'm not ruining anything.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't have, and an iPhone shoots 4K, so we still had actually, what's the word I'm looking for? We had to make it look shittier than the iPhone.
Yeah, you had to sort of, what is the word? You're taking it down a couple generations kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a bit of an odd role for him too, isn't it?
Yeah, Alex loves to act. He was in the Trailer Park Boys, and he's just a really fun, easygoing guy. And the money that we offered him for his role, he just said, "Give it to charity," and
wow.
So that was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. There's a few, different things I think that make up the fabric of the film. And I'll start with just like the environment of it. So you mentioned Parry Sound. I recognize Northern Ontario right away because that's where I grew up. Obviously, there was probably other reasons to shoot in Parry Sound, but was there any sort of desire to use that particular location as, part of the story kind of thing? Part of what makes the film it's what it is.
Yeah, we filmed it in September of 2020. So we filmed it about 6 months after the pandemic started. And so it was set up in the northern remote location, so that was fine. But what shooting in Parry Sound would allow us to do, I shot my film, The Fight Machine, there about 6 months prior, because I literally wrapped mine 2 weeks before the pandemic started. So we knew the area, we knew the environment. But what it allowed us to do was we moved our entire cast and crew up there, and we lived in a Super 8 motel, and we bubbled there. We didn't let anybody else come and go. We all lived there on weekends. I bought a projector and created a drive-in movie theater in the parking lot that we, made popcorn, sat around a fire and watched movies on weekends. And we shot everything. Like we turned their convention center, they had like a little ballroom there. We turned that into a studio. They had an old decrepit house on their property, and that was the house that's in the film. Like we used everything that we could that was within that 5-10 minute drive radius, and lived there. And it was actually a really fun way to work, that you would sleep there, wake up, walk to set,
I get the impression of that too.
It was like camp. It was
Yeah.
great way to make a movie. Yeah. I would do that again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and because even when it was at the Paradise, when they did the screening, like for cast and crew and friends, and I have very little experience with any of that, obviously, but you certainly hear about tortured productions and people who don't want to see each other when it's over or even during it. And I didn't get that feeling at all. I got a feeling that it was really a good time.
I have to put it together for the Blu-ray extra. We had the best wrap party ever. And if anybody knows production, at the end when you finish a production, you have a party, right, to kind of celebrate finishing the film. The art department they had like a pool there and a sauna, and they turned it into like a disco and filled an empty whirlpool full of pillows, and they put like a mirror ball out. And it was just crazy, and they had projections, and everyone was drinking, and it was just the funnest, craziest party I've ever been to for a rap party. So anyway, yeah.
And I missed that.
And you missed it, yeah. Well, because we were bubbled. You weren't allowed.
That's right. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to be there.
Amy LaFoy spotted it first.
Look like a local to you?
I don't know how you would tell. You ever seen anything like this, Wes?
This guy's insides have been shredded.
It's Dr. Cole Parsons, physics genius. He leased a place up at Lynx Creek about 15 months ago.
I gotta head up to Lynx Creek. Gonna need some transportation.
Something happened to this house since I last saw it. It's not the same.
Generator's out.
Let me see if I can get it working.
What is all this?
Black magic rituals. They are opening the gates to hell here. And I'm telling you, Parsons, he's at the center of it.